Between 1892 and 1954, about 12 million immigrants seeking a new life in America were taken to Ellis Island for processing, questioning, and health screening. Today, millions of Americans take ferry boats each year to visit Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty. Up next on American History TV's American Artifacts, we visit Ellis Island Immigration Museum to learn about the immigrant experience.
This canopy and this spot would have been a place where immigrants who had just gotten off the boat here would have lined up to go in the door and begin their processing. What they had with them was virtually only what was important to them. For many who were bringing their entire families at the same time, they had to sell everything they owned back in Europe. The farmland, the cattle, all the supplies, the farm itself, just to be able to afford all of the fares for everybody coming here. The room we're entering right now is the baggage room. Here's the place where immigrants got their first sight of Ellis Island. And to be honest with you, this room looked very different depending upon the moment you came. In 1907, according to some floor plans I've seen, immigrants who came in this door had to go immediately over to our left, their right, where medical examination would take place. Now eventually they would end up in the staircase, which is originally right up in the middle of this ceiling that took you right up into the middle of the Great Hall. It's officially called the registry room, but we call it, and I think most people simply call it, the Great Hall of Ellis Island. It's a majestic piece of architecture. Now we're heading up the stairs to the second floor. Now, doctors will also meet you here, and they'll give you an inspection that is just about as fast a medical inspection as you're ever going to get. I know that they were sometimes called the 6-second specialists for that reason. There are highly skilled members of the United States Public Health Service who can spot even the smallest sign of anywhere from 50 to 60 ailments that normally afflict an immigrant. Our last stop in the Great Hall is going to be at a replica of the possibly about 15 to 20 inspectors' desks that line this end of the hall. Here is the spot where you go through the last part of your processing. Manifests were a list of answers to questions that immigrants gave. For the vast majority of people that came up to this desk, this is going to be a pretty easy process. They'll answer all the questions, they'll remember all the answers. They won't look too suspicious in answering, because if you look too suspicious in answering, that alone could be a reason for detention. But about 80% of the people who come through this building will eventually leave here to go start their lives after an experience of about 3 or 4 hours. But 20% are detained, 10% for the legal processing that we saw, and another 10% for some discrepancies in their interrogation here. So all told, 98% of the people who came through this building were able to get out and start their lives in America. 98% of 12 to 13 million people will translate into about 45% of the American population today, who can tell you honestly that one of their ancestors came through this building, went through this process, and began their family's American story. For so many people, it is the reason why they come here to visit Ellis Island, because they've heard so much about it. It's been in their family folklore, and they come back to see the moment, or the place, I should say, where grandma or great-grandfather came to America, answered the questions, passed the medical processing, and began their family's American story. And that's what Ellis Island is about. It's a story of Americans looking for something better, really the American dream, which I think we all cherish greatly.